Contestants, welcome back. So we had a difficult week last week, right? And this week, you could see that somehow that has affected us. It's affected you a lot more. There is something that's not right. The energy is wrong. And we do need to get to the bottom of it.
Who in your minds did not perform well? And I'm not just talking about this week. I'm talking about from the very brief date. Chase, who in your mind did not perform well throughout this task?
I think I have 3 people in mind. Firstly, I will say Mpho, primarily because it was from not being able to work as a team from the get-go that caused this initially, and also moving forward in our coordination meetings. Whenever we were talking about logistics, entertainment, or any of the elements, people remained mute. And there was no contribution. So we would speak, but they wouldn't engage with us.
People who?
Who?
Primarily Kitty and Mpho. So whenever I spoke to Mpho, they would just give one-word answers. Not engage with us, not talk to us, not brainstorm with us. It was very limited, the communication between them and the rest of the team. And Kitty, because whenever I did speak to Kitty or ask her a question, she would speak back to me in a very condescending tone or an undermining tone. And like I said, I haven't done an event of the scale before. So I do ask questions, I do look for answers. And I don't expect to be made to feel stupid for asking those questions.
There was 2. Who is number 3?
And thirdly, unfortunately, I'm sorry to Neil for the way she composed herself and handled herself in front of clients.
It wouldn't be the first time I hear that.
What was your experience?
I got a report from my team that there was a little bit of unprofessionalism, if I might put it lightly, towards my team members. And I can tell you, we do quite a lot of work for Capitec, and we would never allow any of our team members to conduct themselves in a way that makes us, 1, unprofessional, 2, taking the relationship lightly, and 3, something that we're going to sit around a table and have to answer to. That's embarrassing.
Ebo.
Yes, ma'am.
Who, in your opinion, did not perform well for this task?
I think, ma'am, it's very difficult to say because there were different elements and certain departments had their faults. And right now to weigh which one had more faults than another and scale that is very difficult. But from what I picked up on the comms, because mostly during the event, my execution day, from what I picked up on the comms is that the VIP section wasn't very happy. And there was a person who was assigned to that section, which was Zanika. And the overall, I can say, overseeing things. So checking if this department's done, if this department's done. And I feel like that should be the role of the project manager. Okay. And that, in a sense, maybe she was more focused on the registration side of things, which I can understand, but also there was the entertainment side of things, which was quite chaotic. And it did need some decisions to be made. And those decisions were left, unfortunately, in the hands of Tennille. And she's not the lead, she has to handle talent, but there were decisions that needed a leader to take that decision, and she wasn't present.
Mpho,
Yeah.
you are unusually quiet this week. What's going on? And why are you so quiet? And who, in your opinion, did not perform this week?
I would have to say my leader. She says that there was a status meeting going through the event. We don't recall that, but...
We don't recall that, or you don't recall that?
I don't recall it.
Everybody, do you agree? Were there status meetings or not?
There were.
How many people say there were status meetings? Because I need to... Okay. So...
Okay.
So, Mpho, why would you say that there's no status meetings, but half of your people...
Maybe, Sylvester, maybe going through the tasks that were assigned, but not the actual rollout of the event. The tasks, yes, how far are you? How's the sound? But we needed to know how's the parking? So we had to play it out for us to see it. Or rather, that's how I do things. We play out, clients gets here, walks to the venue, they see this, they go in, they get their first point of departure, which is the registration, then this happens. I needed that, but that wasn't delivered on that regard.
Well, you didn't provide that to your team last week. So to be calling that out in terms of Sheradell, would you say that that's the pot calling the kettle black? Or is it a case of nitpicking?
It's definitely not nitpicking.
Okay, just checking.
Because if it was pointed out last week, then she has room to improve that.
Okay.
But that was not done.
Did you ever consider speaking to the person who was in charge of logistics when you were looking for that kind of information?
Again, Sylvester, there are emotions right now. Because when Chase and Sheradell decided to form an alliance and blindside me, unfortunately, as human, you can't take that very well. So I was pushed back in the sense that maybe I want to be taken out, or they are nitpicking on things that I can't, or I was not seeing, which they, again, could have came forward to ignore, or rather not have the scene that happened last week on the boardroom.
Well,
So are you carrying a grudge? Sounds like you're carrying a grudge.
you took the words right out of my mouth.
I'm not carrying a grudge in the sense that Chase said I was not contributing. I think I contributed more than everyone. Firstly, I know with events, a van is needed. I went out of my way to get a van so people could use it, because using Uber, it'll be costly to us or the company. No one decided to use that. And having to add to the outside area and make it a centerpiece where people can take pictures, it baffles me when he says I did not contribute, when everything inside the event was already thought of from last week's meeting already.
So are you saying that the lettering, when you say the outside of the event?
Yes.
Because I must tell you that that was very untidily done.
Okay.
There were white cables that were visible right at the entrance. You had gaffer tape, and gaffer tape is used to cover cables.
True.
You opted not to. More than that, it's letters that were illuminated with light bulbs. Key to that illumination is that the light bulbs are actually on. And are you aware that...
One light bulb went off.
That's right. And what was your contingency plan for that?
With the cables, I'd bought gaffer tape. But because I'm also handling the technical guys that have cables too, we had to share it. So unfortunately, there was a bit of a mess there in the front. But they used my gaffer tape that I bought.
Did you not ask for any more?
They didn't have, hence they used mine.
So, Portia, who are your bottom performers this week?
For me, the departments that were lacking was food and catering, because I remember throughout the night as I was carrying glasses from tables, guests were asking me, where's the main? Because they haven't eaten yet. So for me, I think I'd say Kitty, because she handled food and catering. And then in terms of entertainment, I would say Tennille and Mpho.
Zanika, who are your bottom three this week?
My bottom three would be Tennille, solely because I think she cracked under pressure and the whole handing off client thing. And I think she's aware of that. And then I would say the catering, because like Portia says, as we're walking through, there was a lot of complaints about the food. And I also didn't quite like how I don't think we were also quite clear of even what the menu actually was. And of exactly, like for instance, there was a pot in the evening where I was carrying something that I wasn't really sure of, like exactly what it is.
I remember asking you, and you didn't know what it was.
Yes, I didn't know exactly what it was.
We were told it was chicken.
You know, and it's just a communication. Yes, it's just like a
chicken, mushrooms, fish.
But you also could ask.
I could have, yes, but I did go to Kitty straight after I came from you guys from the deck to say, okay, next time something comes up, please, for just allergic people or stuff like that. And I would say Mpho, because I think in terms of the team morale, in terms of how we still tense and everything, it all started from last week. And I'm just basing it solely because of that, because we're all still very tense. We still find it very hard to work with each other because of everything that happened last week.
So on that note, you are well aware that we are going to be taking last week's performance in the task into consideration, as well as your execution of the event this week, right? And our parting words to you last week were that in any work environment, you have difficult personalities, challenges. Sylvester made a good point earlier by saying that events in general have got a lot of challenges that comes with the staging of an event. The question I have is, do you really want this job? Because at the end of the day, this is what this is. This is a job interview. And Mpho,
Yes, ma'am.
you don't seem to really want it this week because you kind of, I don't know, I'm feeling a very lackadaisical attitude from you, kind of withdrawn. You do your bit, you just stay under the radar. I'm feeling a lot of weird energy in the room.
Very much so.
You know, and I'm just wondering if you guys are, again, demonstrating a persona in the boardroom, on camera, and not being truthful regarding how you actually feel about the collaboration, the teamwork, and what happened as a collective to make this event happen. It seems too kumbaya for me,
wait.
you know?
It's like almost like a went to the other extreme. Because of
exactly.
course, you know, you must walk into the boardroom and you must unite in selling whatever that you need to sell, right? But in all honesty, next week we really do want to have our best going forward.
Absolutely.
Because we cannot have this like just carrying along this energy throughout. So we do need to ensure that the people that are going to go forward are the people that are ready to become the next brand ambassadors for Capitec. So it's a job to be done. And so if you can't handle it, I think this will be the perfect time to go.
Absolutely.
Perfect time to go.
If you can't bounce back from what happened last week, how on earth are you going to move forward week after week after week in a job? Sometimes it's day after day after day.
Campaign after campaign after campaign.
And client after client,
after
supplier
client.
after supplier.
Kitty wants to say something and then Mpho.
What happened last week in this boardroom, Odette, I'm not going to lie to you, it was emotionally draining for me. Personally, I have worked extremely hard in my own personal life to be able to build a strong person who can stand up to adversity and speak for themselves. My demeanor is very strong, I can see that. And it's because of the push and the hunger of wanting what's best for me.
But do you take any accountability for your actions last week?
Last week, really what touched me was Portia's comment, because I honestly did not want her to feel the way that I had once felt under someone else who was ready to take charge, ready to work on what their work was, and I was working under them. I did apologize to Portia. Portia and I continued to be okay and to work together.
Is that true, Portia?
Ma'am, I'm not someone who holds a grudge. I do believe when she apologized that the setting and the environment probably wasn't the best, but I move on. I get the work done, and that's it.
Okay.
Regarding Chase, your comment, Chase, I did remove Kitty, the joker, the colorful personality away from the team because I honestly felt we've been relaxed in other moments, and if you felt you couldn't come to me in those relaxed moments of joking and playing to tell me that, friend, when we get into work, you do get a bit intense, please look out for 1, 2, 3, then I feel that whatever we were, having fun with was not valid. So now I guess there's no need for us to be on that level. Let's just work. My tone, Chase, I must say to you, it's a tone of formality. I'm not trying to be condescending to you. I started writing in formal language as to avoid the miscommunication that has been going on. So when I do receive an email and I say, received, noted with thanks, it means I don't have anything to add. I've seen it. Should the paper trail be there, then you know that, Kitty, you did see this, you did say you saw it. I just moved to that positioning. I continued to contribute of myself even assisting with Tennille. Yes, we may have not had the perfect script, but I did sit with Tennille to say, Tennille, let's work together, friend. Let's sort out the script. I do believe I have a little bit of skill in that angle. I supplied you, Chase, with a running order.
I think you've done a lot and a lot and a lot and a lot, and I think I've heard enough.
You had mentioned that I took a step back and I'm lacking. I'd like to, I don't know if my team members saw it, but on the actual event, outside, I was hands-on to a point that I went to branding when client asked me what happened to branding. So if someone's going to take branding, I have to not go, no, it's not my department, it's someone else's, because at that moment, I'm needed. I did my best where I could, and when client requested that this is the old branding, that's when I called Portia. With team leading, I would have loved that my team leader that evening took a run around just to know or find out what was happening on every department.
So from both yourself and Kitty, I'm hearing a lot about what happened this time around, but I'm hearing absolutely no accountability for placing your team in a very uncompromising situation this week, where you as team leader, Mpho, last week failed dismally to lead your team, which resulted in an enormous amount of time being lost. And from both yourself and Kitty, I'm hearing a lot of excuses again and a lot of justifications, but no accountability. Kitty, I've heard enough from you for the moment, forgive me. I would like to hear from the project leader this week. Sharadel, as the project leader this week, can you just tell us what happened in terms of what worked from last week, what didn't work, and what carried through into this week in terms of underperformance of your colleagues?
I hear my name being brought up a lot with regards to leadership. My leadership style, I'm not a time teller, I'm a clock builder. I want to empower people, even if I'm not around, for you to make a decision, for the organization to last beyond a leader. That's what I'm about, empowering people. And it's funny enough that I do completely accept responsibility. This was my week to be the leader and to lead the group. I did put measures in place. We had coordination meetings. I know logistics was mentioned. Like within the military, logistics is a very important thing. And we have meeting upon meeting upon meeting. And this integrated system of the event, it's a requirement that each person contributes and speaks. So Mpho said all these things about the run-through. He knows that this is how he does it. Why didn't you speak up at the meeting and say, this is how you do it?
But according to Mpho, there were no meetings.
There were many meetings, ma'am. I have minutes for the meetings. I generated minutes and I distributed them. So everyone was always on the same page. I distributed the budget so people knew what contingency we were dealing with.
Is that so?
On that, yes, there was meetings about the task. I wanted the run-through of the event. Secondly, I did contribute vastly on the branding because that's where I'm most experienced, even though I was placed on entertainment. I made sure that Portia had all her signage. How she printed her signage out to place them, I couldn't be a part of it because I was busy with the technical side. I made sure that the branding outside looked nice and it was visible for the guests, as well as downstairs for the registration, as well as outside on the entrance with the Capitec. So with the branding, I was available. But I had to also take care of the floor and the green room and the technical side.
Again, I'm hearing about what you did on the day.
That's
and
what she's...
I'm asking, what worked this week compared to last week? Not what worked at the actual event. So yes, at an event, as Sylvester said, if the kitchen is burning, everybody just chips in to assist each other. But from a holistic perspective, what worked this week and what did not work?
For me, ma'am, if I look at the event and I really look at the contribution of each department and individuals who helped each other be better, especially with regards to coordination meetings. For me, I would include myself in that bottom three because I feel I could have done much better as a leader with coordination. I acknowledge that. Mpho and Kitty, that's my bottom three.
Okay, so Mpho... Okay, sorry.
We need to get to a point where we remember why we're here.
Yep.
The job is clear. And I must say, I'm feeling quite odd in the sense that I think there's a case of sabotage here. And I don't know if I'm sitting and watching a sabotage movie, you know? Because there are certain things that when you're working together with your team, you say, I'll do that, you do that, let's go together, let's run together, let's deliver a good event. You know, so that when we do eliminate, we're eliminating because, geez, everyone's really good, but maybe the not so good one of the great ones is this individual. But right now, it's almost like we're like looking for ways to sabotage or say bad about a particular team member because you were helping and assisting them. And I'm worried about that because we will have more challenges. We will work together. That's going to be the requirement of this competition. But if you're not able to work together...
But not better than that. I mean, Mpo, you have a lot to say, but you had a lot to make up for this week. So we would expect that you would go far and beyond the call of duty this time around to make up for your faux pas last week. And really and truly, I would like to hear from somebody else, like Chase. Chase, you say you're a production person. You say that you're good at that kind of thing. So one of the things that I picked up was that there were many TV screens in and around the venue, underutilized, poorly positioned, and everybody facing in one particular direction at the crux moment when this TVC is revealed, and everybody trying to look on a tiny little screen. How on earth could you allow that to happen?
One thing I will say, and when we did the run-through, and this is something I've picked up today from your feedback, is break the rules, push back with the supplier. Say that in order for this TVC to launch, we need more screens. We need them to be positioned in certain places. When we did the run-through with the owner, we walked with him to say where we can place them, because we could not place TVs in front of any paintings. We couldn't place it in certain decor, in front of certain decor elements. So when we did the run-through with Peter, the owner, he said, you can place it here, 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 and here. And I agreed.
Why not place all the TV screens at least where the stage was, so that everybody had a view of what would be shown on the TV screens? Instead, you had a number of TV screens that were to people's backs. And it's not about placing it in front of decor or not in front of decor. So the poor owner of the venue had nothing to do with your planning in terms of where your guests would be looking at the event. If you understood where your guests would be facing and used your initiative and said, the owner said, no, you can't place all the TVs in this area, then I would say, all right, fine. But you gave no consideration to the placement of the TV screens in light of where the eyes of your guests would be. And that's a production element.
100%. I think I gave the wrong thought process. So what we did is we placed the TVs, and when you said that to their backs, it was so that people who were inside, and we didn't expect everyone to be outside, were inside, could turn around and see a TV screen, look forward and see a TV screen, look left and right, and also in the VIP, it had their own TV screen. So it was the incorrect thought process. And I do take accountability. I'm sorry.
Just admit it.
It was
wrong. You did not give that enough planning and thought.
No, I did not.
There's no justification for it.
Of course.
Just own it. And that's the thing, guys. At this part of the competition, right, you are presenting yourself as a future brand ambassador for Capitec. Own your mistake. Take accountability for the things that you are doing wrong, right? So that you can move on from it. But what's happening here is, I'm believing, a little bit of sabotage, a little bit of click forming and games playing out. And that's not what this is about. The next brand ambassador is a very exciting opportunity. And it is a life-changing opportunity for the people who make it at the end. There are, to Sylvester's point last week, many people who would have loved to be in this position this week, but are not. You are here. And you're using personality clashes, little arguments, he said this, she said that, as justifications for when hundreds of thousands of rands are at stake. A big bank's brand is at stake. And you are instrumental in bringing a new brand repositioning to life. Better than that, not one of you used your roles as the next brand ambassador at the event to own that as one of the people from Capitec who are there to serve you. Instead, I saw you running around like a headless chicken talking into comms the whole night. I kid you not. I saw a lot of panic and frantic and frazzled behavior. Where was the next brand ambassador?
Because they're busy fighting amongst themselves. They're not being brand ambassadors.
And they don't see the bigger picture.
Here is
the bigger picture.
a brand ambassador.
Guys, when you think about it, and you're in production, right? We all know how much it costs to create a TV ad, right? So basically what you guys were saying to Capitec is like, we don't care how much you spent on that ad. We don't care how much effort you put in it, how you got here. We're going to show your ad on 2 screens. That's basically what you said to them. And then the other thing is that what you guys keep forgetting, and that I've been observing now while sitting here, is that this whole thing, the hashtag that you guys use, what is it? Be the brand, right? None of you were the brand. And as you guys are 100% right, and you tend to forget that, yes, this is a competition at the end of the day, this is a job interview, but also the underlying factor is that when you guys come together as a team, and Capitec bestows something on you and says to you guys, we want you to make this thing come to life. You guys own businesses. If you mess it up, not individuals don't get fired, the entire agency gets fired. And if it was my way, we would fire everybody because as a collective, you guys failed.
So we have a long road ahead because we are trying to find the next brand ambassador for Capitec. It's an important job. It's an important job for us. It's an important job for the brand, and it's an important job for this channel. And part of doing that is ensuring that the people that are going to be placed at the forefront of this brand are the best people for this job. This week, there's some good positives, but there's a lot of negative. And part of my process in thinking about how we move forward in this elimination round is those that did not deliver to what is expected of a brand ambassador are my weakest.
You have a brand ambassador in the room. This is someone who was prepared to humble himself and take direction from you. Did you direct your resource? Probably not. But what you probably could learn from this brand ambassador is that when he was at Capitec's event, he was all about Capitec. He was #be the brand, which I believe none of you were, not just last night or this past week, but the week prior. And this is why this week we have 4 people at the bottom of the barrel. We warned you the last time that it was the judge's discretion as to how many we would keep and how many would be eliminated. We also said that we could, if we wanted to, bring back a wild card as we have in the past. And that's something to think about. Are you one of the 4? Do you deserve to be here? Are you hungry for this opportunity? And if so, why have you not demonstrated that? For this week's elimination are the following individuals. Chase. Kitty. Mpho. Tennille.
Did you grab attention? Can you work at Capitec? And what do you stand for as a brand ambassador? That's quite key for us. And maybe you might have forgotten a little bit about why we're here, but we as the judges have not.
You have exactly 20 seconds each to make a case for why you should stay. Starting with you, Chase.
Yes, I made mistakes this week. Yes, I had some oversights, but I learned a lot. And one thing I will say is that I will not make excuses moving forward. I will take your critique, I will see how I can use it and better myself. I will humble myself. I will make sure that I'm constantly growing, moving forward on a professional level, on a personal level.
Kitty.
I'm a problem solver. I look at a situation and I come in and I adapt and adjust to suit the occasion. I have many of the guests who were there last night who would easily tell you that Kitty lady, she was professional and she really came to my aid. To convince a star chef to serve a meal he does not prepare in his kitchen at that type of venue, I think for me that was truly a winner for my night.
Mpho.
I'm a worker bee. I definitely get the job done. And whether there are cameras or not, I would know at the end of the day that I'll make a decision and stand accountable for it.
Tennille.
I'm creative and innovative, and I am a workaholic. I do make mistakes. I bounced back from last week, and I accepted accountability. And I proved that I can actually pull my weight. Even though I took over some responsibilities that weren't mine, I can actually work together as a team with other fellow contestants.
You can work together with your team, but can you work with external suppliers and clients is the million-dollar question.
This is all about output. It's all about the results. It's all about what is being delivered. And of course, we looked at what happened last week and we looked at what happened this week. Based on that, Chase, you are safe.
Thank you.
See you next week. Tennille, unfortunately, my dear, your journey ends here.
Thank you.
Mpho, there's a lot to do. There's an attitude to adjust. There are ideas that are in your mind, lots of them, but they mean nothing if you can't work with people to make it come to life.
Well said.
Kitty, you are a lot of magic, and there's a lot that you can offer. But it's not just about what you say in the boardroom. It's also about how you make people feel. And I've sat in this boardroom many times and feel that people just don't feel that you are kind enough and that you work well with them. So my decision is simple this week. Mpho, you are in. I'd love to see more of you. And unfortunately, Kitty, your journey ends here.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a very difficult time. Madam Project Leader, and to the rest of your team who are safe. You are safe by a hair. It was truly a very close call in terms of who would be saved and who would be eliminated. You made a commitment. I certainly hope to see that going forward, or you will find yourself in elimination again, Chase. Madam Project Leader, you took accountability, but I wonder if accountability for what went wrong is enough when you are leading. Lead to ensure that the job gets done.
Yes, ma'am.
I think a big lesson here for everybody is that attitude and humility go a long way in the workplace.
And output. Lots
Absolutely,
of good output.
because a good attitude, a humble spirit enables a great output. The opposite of that creates dysfunction, which we've already seen.
Next week, I expect an amazing week. We're not taking no for an answer.
Guys, it's been an education being here. I just want to remind you guys that in this journey that you guys are in, it's not only just about you. If you show up in the wrong way, unfortunately, there's a big brand that's making all this happen for you that ends up being the loser. People don't walk away from the event going, Chase didn't do that. Oh, that Capitec event wasn't that great. Please keep that in mind all the time, especially if you want to be an ambassador for a brand.
And on that note, contestants, You are dismissed. Remember, there is still work to be done for the weeks ahead. Good luck. You are going to need it. You're dismissed.
Thank you.